What's up, guys? It's Jonathan Farber. I was able to achieve financial freedom at 27 years old, making about $12,000 a month passively in real estate and leave my corporate job. Welcome back to the channel, or welcome to the channel where I post weekly on the latest strategies and trends in real estate, creating passive income and productivity. If you get any value out of these videos or you're interested in those topics, please consider giving a like and subscribe. It shows me that these videos help and shows me which topics I should be making more videos about. This week's shout out goes to Sean Parsons, one of my favorite people in real estate in general, from the Facebook group early on. Has an awesome side hustle business and picked up a couple turnkey rentals this year. If you want to get a shout out in the next video, drop a comment below and subscribe to the channel, or screenshot this video and tag me on your Instagram story. As always, timestamps will be in the comments as your time is valuable, so let's get to it. And make sure you stay until the end where I go through a trick you can use to buy a property, especially if you have very, very little money yourself. This is gonna be a 5-part series on all things getting started with Airbnb. In the first part, we're gonna be going over the overview strategies, that is this video here. In the second video, we're gonna be going over the financing and the money parts of the business. Number 3, we're gonna be analyzing deals. Number 4, we're gonna be standing up the property, things like furnishing, smart home technology, setting it up. And the 5th part is going to be handling the day-to-day operations of your property and making sure that it's successful and you're managing it effectively with guests checking in and out. So make sure you're subscribed and have the bell on so you know to follow the series step by step so you can take action yourself. All right, so here are my 4 favorite ways to get started with Airbnb, what they are, and we'll break them down on how to do them. Number 1, 10% down second homes for vacation properties and then putting them on Airbnb. Number 2, Airbnb arbitrage. Number 3, co-hosting or property management for Airbnb. And number 4, buying a traditional investment property that you're putting down 15 or 20% on to do Airbnb with. So let's get into these strategies and what they actually mean. They're all good, but some may be a little better for you depending on your situation. All right, so number 1, vacation homes with 10% down and putting on Airbnb. This is one of the coolest strategies right now and at the top of the list for a reason. So believe it or not, there are tons of government-backed loans to purchase property that are very underrated, almost hidden, like not just shown day to day. But basically you can use these loans to your advantage. So there's a loan that's actually called a vacation home loan. It's completely legal and it's backed by the government Fannie Freddie programs. So you can put 10% down on a vacation home in a destination area and use it when you want and put it on Airbnb when you're not there. You can learn about the lending requirements more specifically by speaking to a local lender, but if your credit is over the mid 600s or low 600s and your DTI or debt to income is below 43, you should be able to qualify. And the amount of debt or loan you'll be able to qualify for will depend on your situation, your savings, your income, but regardless, it's an incredible strategy that I've done 3 times this year. So what are the pros and cons of the strategy? Let's go through the pros first. First pro, it's an insanely low interest rate on this loan, at least as of right now, way lower than investment property loans. The second pro, there's something called PMI, but that actually goes away when you hit 20% equity. This is incredible. It doesn't happen on many other loans with PMI. PMI is just mortgage insurance that lenders require when you're under 20% down. The cons. Number 1, this is usually only for areas that are considered destinations, and it's not really possible to get in on this loan in an urban area. Second con, this strategy has become way more popular, meaning more competitive. Before COVID, no one knew about this, but now a lot of people are looking for second homes or vacation loans. Number 3, you have to have a pretty strong credit and typically stable W-2 to secure this type of loan. So overall, I love this strategy and think it's really underrated. Next, Airbnb arbitrage. Sort of a hot button topic these days, regardless of what you think about it. It's a growing business that's completely legal and a great way to make money with very little capital. Airbnb arbitrage is the process of leasing a property from a landlord and then listing that property on booking sites to make the difference. Airbnb being the main one. So for example, you can rent a 1-bedroom property for about $1,000. You can list it for about $100 per night on Airbnb, and you can make a nice profit of that spread after expenses. A lot of people have a rule of thumb for arbitrage that you can make about $1,000 of cash flow per bedroom, which I agree and think that's completely doable. The pros of this: 1, it requires very little money to get started compared to purchasing. 2, I really believe this is the highest return or one of the highest returns you can get in real estate right now. I typically see cash on cash over 20% in this space. Number 3, it's way less competitive than buying something in the MLS right now because way less people know about it. All right, the cons. Number 1, it requires a lot of hustle and salesmanship. You're calling buildings and landlords and pitching yourself, and this is difficult for a lot of people. Number 2, since you do not own the property, you do not reap the tax benefits or appreciation benefits you do from ownership. Number 3, if you have issues with the landlord or guests, your landlord can non-renew you and you have to move out or lose reviews that you had with that property. Number 4, not always, but in most cases, you need business credit, which takes a lot of time and energy to build. I think this strategy is amazing for anyone who has a little bit of capital and hustle and willing to kind of get into the sales game. This isn't as hard as people think, but it can be tough getting rejected a lot from landlords at the beginning and pushing yourself to keep going. Third strategy, co-hosting. This is a fancy word for property management in the Airbnb world, but it's a great strategy for beginners. And in some cases, property managers in this space can make up to 20%. It is technically active income instead of passive income, which you guys know I love, but it's a good way to learn the business and build systems while making money. I know a lot of people pursuing this as a full-time strategy and will be able to leave their jobs because of it. All right, the pros. Number 1, it requires virtually no money to get started. Number 2, in most cases, if you use smart technology, the entire thing can be done from a laptop. You can be a virtual worker, which is awesome. Number 3, you do not need credit or a job to do this. The cons, number 1, it will require a lot of effort to land your first contract. It takes a lot of trust building. Number 2, you may have to start out working for free. Number 3, until you build systems, you'll have to be on call for a while to make sure things run smoothly and you won't have good quality of life. So in general, for people who do not want to buy or have enough cash to do arbitrage, I think this is an awesome strategy if you're a go-getter and have a lot of hustle. Number 4, buying a traditional investment property yourself. This is pretty much what it sounds like. You're buying a property with 15 to 20% down as an investment property, furnishing it, and then listing it on Airbnb. It's a great option for a lot of areas where you will not qualify for a second home. The pros, you own the property and have full control of it. If you don't buy an HOA property at least. 1, this kind of means you don't have to deal with landlords for arbitrage or owners for management. You essentially don't answer to anyone. Number 2, you get all the tax benefits and net worth growth of owning real estate. The cons, most of the strategies mentioned can be dissolved fairly easily. Either the contract ends or you break a lease. With ownership, if you have a problem property, you have fewer exit strategies, which is never really a good thing. Second con, you may encounter much higher expenses if things break or there are unexpected CapEx items like a roof or water heater or other things. Number 3, home buying is crazy competitive right now. We use a lot of strategies to find off-market deals, but most decent MLS deals go the same day or over ask right now. Not fun. All right, this is sort of an underrated strategy, one that I kind of just thought of and want to throw in. Buying a property with a money partner. It's really underrated and some people may not agree, but as I've talked about in other videos, there are tons of ways to partner with people. As long as both sides are bringing something to the table, there's a value exchange. It's a common misconception that both people need to be on the loan and 50-50 equity partners. There can be cases where someone gets a loan in their name and then 2 people are 50-50 equity partners after that. So if you have very little money, you can find a partner to get the loan in their name and then negotiate an equity partnership. In some cases, the person who didn't get the loan in their name will have less equity. In other cases, it can be 50-50. It really just depends. If the person brings the down payment and the loan is in their name, I think personally a fair strategy is to have them paid back their down payment with cash flow over the first couple months or years until they get back to 50-50 equity. Another option, if one side is willing to get the loan in their name and one side is willing to find the property, manage the day-to-day, that can be a very solid way to potentially partner with someone or make sure there's a value exchange. The pros, 1, you don't really need any money in some cases to gain 50% equity ownership in a rental. Number 2, after the first year, you should be making nice cash flow. And since you have not put up any money potentially, you're making a potential infinite return. The cons of this strategy, it takes time to build relationships with someone or investors and explain the concept. Not always that easy. Number 2, you may not make cash flow for a while. Like I said, it could be months or maybe even years, depending how you structure it. All right, guys, the conclusion of all this, what do you do with it? The bottom line, there are some great options to get started in real estate investing, specifically Airbnb. They don't require a lot of money all the time, but it just depends how you structure it. It's just a matter of picking one, getting educated, and seeing if it's the right strategy for you. As always, I appreciate you being here. And if you have any questions or comments, drop them below. I'll be answering all of them. And if you got any value out of the video, please consider hitting subscribe and throwing a like on this video. Thanks, and see you guys in the next one.